Morning, everyone. Rich Berliner here from Connected Real Estate Magazine, and we're doing an interview today with Bob Grosz from Improvix. Bob, welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. So tell us a little bit about Improvix. The company is part of a company called WCI, which is 45 years old. I think that's a huge advantage in this crazy world where people pop up all the time with brand new companies. Yet you folks have been in business for 45 years, which is an achievement unto itself. Tell us a little bit about the company. You are chief commercial officer of Improvix also. So tell us about the company and what you folks do.
Sure. Yeah, Rich, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the time today. WCI stands for World Cinema Inc. And WCI was founded in 1974. The first product we deployed was actually a property technology for hotels that allowed hotels to enjoy movie entertainment, just basically VHS tapes that looped. We got some studio rights from the big studios to show some close to theater type window movies. And we deployed those movies in hotel environments throughout the South. Actually started at the Beverly Hills Hilton, and then moved.
That's quite a credential. That's a really nice credential.
Yeah, and that was cutting edge back in 1974, of course, in the 70s. And we've followed disruptions in kind of the in-room entertainment world, from the big dish satellites that you used to see, the big 3-meter satellite dishes, which were quite the eyesore. But did allow for some linear content, some movie channels, and regular cable channels, to the small dish world, satellite TV. And then in the last 10 years, we've really seen an uptick in convergence between internet connectivity and in-room entertainment with streaming and casting. So the ability to stream content over the internet or over a private IP network into the hotel room and throughout the hotel, or casting, which is being able to stream content from a guest device onto the in-room TV seamlessly, securely, privately. So it's been a technology play ever since day one. We've seen technologies come and go. We've seen technologies emerge. And our core is the ability to have our finger on the pulse of technology as it relates to the built environment, and be a service provider. We're the Zappos credo, which was, we're a service company that just happens to sell shoes. We're a service company that just happens to deploy property technology. So our real difference is our people. Our real difference is the service and responsiveness that we give our clients. And our promise to our clients, and frankly to our associates, is that we deliver every time with no exceptions. And delivering means delivering on the smallest things, from training issues to the biggest things like major outages in cities or even properties. So that's kind of what we do and who we are in a nutshell.
So now with Improvix, you jumped into the wireless space, which seems like a perfectly natural situation and a very close near neighbor business to what you have been doing. So what's the secret sauce here? Obviously, you just said it's good customer service. It's thinking sort of about the niches that these companies may need. But are you still focused on that hotel situation and those properties? Or are you working in other circumstances too besides hotels, and you've branched out with Improvix now?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Improvix really is a shift from a technology focus, which WCI has been focused on in-room entertainment and video, whether it's linear or nonlinear, streaming or casting. Improvix is really focused on anything connected. And that can start with the enterprise wireless network. It can start with how you get connectivity to a building. There's some innovations and disruptions happening in that space with millimeter wave fixed wireless and 5G, which are pretty interesting. All the way to the device layer. We've got a strong partnership with a company called Eagle Eye Networks, which does AI-based video surveillance, which is also cloud-based. And they're sort of an innovator, one of the leading innovators in the video surveillance space. That's just a connected application to us. It just sits over a connectivity layer of technology. And with that, of course, comes the ability to expand from verticals, from just the hotel vertical into other verticals, like multifamily, like student housing, purpose-built student housing, senior housing, purpose-built senior housing, healthcare, and the likes of that. So yeah, it's exciting. We've got a lot of drivers of our growth, from product expansion to vertical market expansion. And we think that's a formula layered on top of that attitude that we're going to deliver every time, no exceptions, and be a great service company for a long-term successful company that's relevant to our customers for, frankly, the next 10 generations, 100 years. That's sort of the long-term thinking that we make our decisions on.
Well, you can be, if you're in business 45 years, you could take that long view of these things. So
Absolutely.
really, kind of great place to start. First of all, my mother just went into one of these senior living places, and her only contact now to the outside world is that iPhone she had to have. And, the location switched providers, couldn't figure out how to get her a landline.
Yeah.
So her only communication is to the outside world is that iPhone. But interesting that you folks would be in a circumstance where you could help with that. And, student housing is another situation. I also know many cases where the kids are now back to school, but they're not going to classes. They're sitting in these, in their student housing and looking for connectivity, that it needs to be, a huge pipe to them wirelessly. So those seem like very, very timely choices. Were they luck? Were they studied? Were they, good planning? How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, I like to start with just the real estate concept in general, because I'm a real estate guy that turned to technologist, right? I was lucky enough to grow up in Wisconsin. I'm very familiar with the Grass Camp School of Real Estate, who coined the term location, location, location. I think today real estate is all about experiences. And experiences are always optimized when you can digitize them through technology, right? So all of this, the convergence of technology and experiences, and the example that you gave, Rich, in terms of your mother, is that correct? Your mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom.
I think that experience is something that property owners have to have top of mind. It can't be an afterthought. Your low voltage design, your technology strategy is something that you should be considering if you're building a property when you're tying up the land. If you don't have a plan and you're just operating for heads and beds type mentality, you don't have a plan about technology, you're going to end up having trouble with occupancy because you're not delivering great experiences. And experiences, especially, for example, in the senior area where landlines maybe are just part of their lives, I think that's going to change over the next 10 years, where seniors are all going to bring tablets with them. They're all going to bring mobile phones with them. That experience of having a landline is probably going to go away forever someday. But the experience of having great access to technology, connectivity, wireless connectivity, great in-room entertainment, and just all around great experiences inside of your built environment is going to be something that is fundamental and a cornerstone of real estate for the future.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's kind of our business, is the education of people in the real estate business about these topics. But Bob, you've taken sort of a very unique cut, in my judgment, that you're looking at bringing them the circuit, you're looking at bringing them the devices for the building itself, and you're looking at distribution through fiber. That's a really wide swath of this business. And it's admirable that you look at it, not just we want to do one thing and we'll do that well, and you want to really cover the bases. So, does that present daunting challenges for you to get all those things right in these buildings?
I think if you operate and are responsible for any one of those things, whether it's applications, the network, or the backhaul to the property itself, you have to be very, very cognizant of what's happening in the other areas. And that's why we've taken more of a holistic approach to this. We think that the best experience is delivered via someone that can know exactly what's going on with applications, exactly what's going on with, the Internet of Things, smart room technologies, building automation systems, what's happening in the energy management space, what's happening with everything that your resident, your guest, or your tenant could possibly want to bring that's related to technology inside of your building. And if you're not an expert at those things, if you're not invested in those things, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out in terms of delivering a great experience. You're also going to miss out on revenue opportunities and profit opportunities, which will sustain your business, for a long, long time. So it's great being an expert at one thing, but that one thing that we're an expert at is delivering great experiences to people inside of the built environment.
Yeah. And the interesting part of this, I think, is that you've tackled some very difficult things because, again, a hotel, it doesn't have one customer, it has multiple customers. Everyone in that building is your customer, in essence. Have you taken the next step into retail, industrial, commercial, and those sorts of things, or is that the great expansion for what Improvix is doing?
Yeah, I think that's probably phase 2 of expansion. Our focus has been in the built environment where the occupants of the building are typically coming home, or they're there to stay and sleep, right? In an industrial or a commercial environment, I think that there are differences in those types of buildings that you really have to have deep vertical market understanding of. So it's on our roadmap, but we're nowhere near that right now. I do think that technology is going to be hugely influential, especially industrial IoT, asset tracking, monitoring what's happening in a specific part of your building, whether it's with your workforce or with goods and services that you're manufacturing. It's a great area. I'm really excited about it. I could probably talk for an hour just on industrial IoT, but it's not a focus of Improvix today. We kind of stop at that guest/resident building type.
So you're focused. So over 45 years, I would assume the company, has had growth spurts, and then, the sometimes what happens is that the companies have to shrink down for a period of time. You've got a pandemic. You have other types of situations. Have you gone through that boom and bust sort of cycles at WCI and Improvix?
Yeah, I'm proud to say that over the course of 45 years, of course, there have been technologies that have been introduced to the market which have caused an increase in business velocity. I'm proud to say, though, that during the pandemic, so for the past 12 months, really, we have not furloughed anyone. We've not laid off anyone due to COVID. In fact, we've grown our team. So we've grown by over 20 people in that period of time. And I think it's because we're probably onto the right thing, which is buildings have to have good technology. They have to have good connectivity. You have to have Zoom calls like this, right? And Zoom calls aren't just magical. They are magical, but it takes some work. It takes some design. It takes some thought. And that's what we do. So we've been able to stay relevant. And because of that, even in downturns in the economy, we've been able to be stable or growing.
Got it. And what about the IT part of this? Is that a part of the service offerings? In other words, when that customer comes and says, do all these things for me, you are making sure that everything you do for them is secure, that we're using the most updated technologies, you're providing protection against what can come and be hacked into their building. Is that part of the service offering?
Of course, yeah. We consider ourselves sort of an IT group. So we are all about information technology. IT professionals are the unsung heroes. They're the last to get credit. They're the first to get blamed. But that's a responsibility that we take on, and we take on very, very clearly. So that's sort of who we are and what we do.
That's great. Bob, I think we've covered most of the bases. Is there anything else that we should know about Improvix and what you folks are doing, and also how can people get a hold of you if they want to talk with you more about these services? Because it sounds like you've got a great company built over 45 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so Improvix and WCI are always changing. We're always looking for new opportunities to deliver value through better experiences. And we do think that there are some technologies out there that are very interesting that people should follow, like private 5G, for example, is an interesting technology. The next evolution or generation of Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E specifically, are going to be very, very important just on the base connectivity side of the equation. I mentioned one before on fixed wireless, and also how 5G might impact that, and that's a connectivity to the building. I do think that connectivity has become so mission critical that having one provider that connects to your building as the single point of failure is not a wise move. I think redundancy will be a big word here in the next 10 years. So there are many, many things happening in this on the connectivity side, and we could spend a whole other show talking about applications. But if someone wants to contact me, my email address is robert.grosz, Grosz, G-R-O-S-Z, and that's at wcitv.com. So robert.grosz@wcitv.com. And I'm sure you can reach me at that email address. Love to talk to you, and we can arrange a phone call or a video chat.
Yeah, if I'm out there watching this and I'm in need of help, I think I'd be picking up the phone or emailing you on this. So, Bob, thank you so much for being with us today. Really impressive company, and nobody survives 45 years without knowing what the hell they're doing in this day and age. So,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it, and thank you for being with us. And Rich Berliner here from Connected Real Estate and Connected Real Estate Magazine with Bob Grosz from WCI TV and Improvix. Thanks, Bob.
Take care.